Hello everyone, and welcome to this session. One of my Twitter followers asked about my chart setups. So I told him that I would go ahead and do a video. I might take a couple videos, but I told him I would do a video on how I set this up. So if you're using TD Ameritrade, ThinkorSwim, um, yeah, maybe this will help you out. I'm a little flustered right now. I had two good trades today, and somehow I accidentally got in this trade here and lost most of my profits. I'm not sure. I mean, I know why I got in it, how I got in it, but I made a Tesla trade this morning for 9.5%, and I actually screwed that one up too. I had two contracts, and I went to sell one, and somehow I sold both. In the end, that worked out better because it pulled back right after that. It ran up later on in the day, but I know that second contract I would have stopped out at break even and made less than I actually did anyway. So it worked out that I screwed up there. And then I made this Netflix trade on calls here for 14.5%. It was only one contract. I had planned to add, but I didn't. And then towards the end of the day, I put a buy order in for Netflix calls here, and it didn't fill right away, and I didn't like what I was seeing, and I canceled it, or thought I canceled it. And I went back and looked like 20 minutes later, and it said I had one contract, and I don't know. I went ahead and watched it for a little bit, hoping it would bounce. I canceled it because I didn't, or thought I canceled it because I didn't like it, and it turns out my hunch was right. And problem was, by the time I realized that I was already down, and thought, well, let me see what happens, and ended up, I'm still green on the day, but it took out a big chunk of my what I was up on, so that sucks. But at least it's green day, and plus the fact that I knew enough to say, wait a minute, I don't like this order, or I don't like this entry. I guess I'd feel worse about it if I thought it was a good entry and I entered it on purpose and lost money. But the fact that I spotted that and said, wait a minute, I don't like what it's doing here. It had a big green candle, and my order didn't fill, and then it started to pull back, and that's when I thought I canceled it, because it didn't really follow through after that big candle. That's why I canceled it, or tried to cancel it. So anyway, on to what I look at. Mainly what I look at when you open up ThinkorSwim, this is the first screen you see. This is your main screen. You have your charts here under flexible grid. I don't look at this really. I really don't use this for anything. I guess I could could do that, and it goes to full screen, but I just really don't use this. What I do, like say I'm watching Netflix and I say, okay, I want to buy calls. I'll come up here, and actually I'll be looking at this screen, and I say, okay, I want to buy calls. I'll come over to here, trade. I'll find the calls I want. You right click on whatever strike you want on the ask, whether it's either calls or puts. You right click on the ask, come down to more info, TOS charts, and click on that first square, and it brings it up over here in the charts tab. So now I have this and this. So if you're only using one monitor, you can click back and forth between these. You can sit and watch your chart here, and when you say, okay, I want to sell, click that. I don't care about this on the options side. I don't care what this looks like. I don't care what the candles look like. In fact, I could do this and be just as happy. But I do have the active trader, which is this here. I have that up. You can click that and it goes away. I have time and sales, which is right here. That's the time and sales of the actual options contracts. And your level 2, which is down here, you can click here to get rid of that if you want. So you have options up here. Don't confuse options with contracts. You have options, configuration button, settings. You can click on that and you can change what you have up here in this little window. I always put this on auto send. I check that. If you don't, let's say I want to buy right here, I can just click here and this pops up, and then I have to hit send. If I have that checked, I don't have to hit that. I can just do this and the order goes in. So it just saves some time. And with Active Trader, that's all you need to do. You decide what price you want to enter, and on the green side is your buy, on the red side is your sell. Decide what price you want to enter. Say you want to buy one contract, boom, there's your order, it's in. You want to buy 2 contracts, hit 2, order in. You want 3, you can either hit the plus button again or hit 3. Say you want 10, just click the 10, hit that, your order's in. So that's pretty much it for this screen. And that's really all. I'll check the monitor tab every once in a while. I'll check them just to make sure I don't have any that I'm not holding anything. And that's actually how I caught. Actually, no, it wasn't. When you have a contract, there'll be a little arrow right beside the price that you entered at, so you can see what your entry is. And I happened to look over and saw a little triangle there, or a little arrow, and I went, why is that there? And that's when I came over here and looked and saw that it had one contract, and really screwed up my day. So I've been using ThinkorSwim for, I don't know, 3 years now, and I still, I had 2 screw ups today. So just got to try to be careful and pay attention, which obviously I didn't do today. So here's the screens I look at on a normal throughout the day. I have 2 monitors, both 23 inch. I have 6 screens. I have Apple, Baba, Netflix, Roku, Spy, and Nvidia. These are all 3-minute charts. They're all set up the same, all the same indicators. I keep those over here, and I have them linked. You can see Spy's not linked. Actually, no, I don't have these ones linked. Okay. I purposely don't have those linked. What I did link is over here on this one. These are linked. You can pick whatever color or number you want to link yours. You can have different links for different ones. These are all linked together with this 3, and I also have my trade tab linked to the 3. So right now you see Netflix is up. Go back to that again. Netflix is up. If I come over here, say I decide I want to look at Roku. Click Roku. I come back here, and you see Roku's up already. So it just shortens the time. You don't have to click these again and go through all that. So, but when you start, you have this main thing. That's all you have, just the one window. So I come over to charts, flexible grid. You see up here, you can change. If you go to customize grid, it brings up a little index or legend, whatever you want to call it. If you click this one, it'll put a new chart down below this. If you click this one, it'll put a new chart to the right of it. So let's say you want to put 4 in here. Click that. Go over here, click that. Go down here, click that. Now you have 4 in here, and you put whatever you want. These are not linked. You can see they're not linked. So I can put Apple here. I can put Roku here. We already have Roku up. Amazon. Do Spy down here. However you want to put it. Whatever you want to put up. Now what I did on here, I named this. Come down here. Where's that? Studies. Load study set. I call it ramp up minimal. Actually, I think this one's called ramp up. So I can come over here, do studies, load study set, ramp up, and it will set it to the same setup. Now you have to come up here. I don't know what this little symbol is. I forgot. You got to close this out because you'll still have this index here, this legend. Come back here to customize grid to get rid of that. Okay. By default, this is set to fit studies, so all of your studies will fit in this window, which scrunches everything down, makes it hard to look at. So you come up here and you uncheck fit studies, and now you see your chart looks a little bit better. You can also come over here, click and drag, and that will expand it, move it around however you want to do it. This does the same thing for this way. So but what you do is, say you get a setup you like, come over here, studies, save study set, name it whatever you want to name it, hit save. I'm not going to do this just in case I don't want to screw it up, but you would hit yes, you save it, and now anytime you create a new chart, let's add one more. Customize grid, let's add one more to the right, and uncustomize grid. And let's say we want to do, let's do Netflix in this one. Put it back to 3 minute, and you see I don't have any, I have my support and resistance lines that I put in this morning, but I don't have any of my other indicators. I don't have my slow stochastics, I don't have any of that. So I come over here, studies, load study set, ramp up, and there it is. Now I'm going to want to come up here again, uncheck fit studies, click somewhere outside of there. Same thing with these ones. Load study set, ramp up. Now look how messy that looks. Even if you put it on 3 minute, it's still hard to read because it tries to fit all the studies in at once. So you come up here, unselect fit studies, and it makes it more readable. So I'm going to get rid of all these extra grids now, and I'll go over to the one that I'm using. Get rid of that one. Get rid of this. If you click the little window with the slash through it, it gets rid of these. And go back up here and uncheck customize grid. So I'm going to start over with a new one, and I'm going to make it look just like this one. And you see, because these are linked, when I entered new tickers in that other window, it would change this because they're linked. So let's go back to this window. You can come up here and do this one actually, detach. If you detach this, watch what happens. It opens up this same window in a new one. And that's how I have, if you look down here, that's how I have 5 different windows open now. So you hit detach and it brings this up. It's going to be the exact same chart as this with your same settings, everything. So I come up here, let's say I want to do the 3-in-1 customize grid. I want to do another one below this and another one to the right of this. I did that backwards. I want to do the one to the right first. So I do the one to the right. Now I'll do one below. Come back up here, uncustomize your grid. Now I'll come down here. Let's just say, let's link this to the blue, so I have the same one. So now they're all linked. I'll move this over because this is the main window that I'm concerned about looking at. Come over, set this to 3 minute. Set this one to hourly. Set this one to 15 minute. Now ideally I'd like to have a bigger monitor so I can have a 4th window here and have a daily up, but right now it's just, if I put a daily on there, if I put a 4th one up here, it's going to be really hard to see. So now I want to come up here, studies, load study set, ramp up. So there we have, I have to do it on this one too, studies, load study set, ramp up. And you see I have a bunch of different ones, and we can take a look at them. Load study set, futures. I've traded futures before. Futures RSI. I had an RSI indicator. When the RSI crossed, it had to cross above and an increase in price over the previous candle or something. I can't remember. I haven't used it for a long time, but I used that a little bit for futures. Didn't really like it, but yeah, I tried it. Futures RSI CL. Oh, that was, I think that was for oil. That was for trading oil, CL futures, crude. The difference is I couldn't tell you. I haven't used these for a long time. I probably should just delete them. MAs is moving averages. I had it set up for moving average crosses. 10-20 moving average crosses. These little spikes are when there was a 10 and 20 moving average cross. You can see the 10-20 here. Studies, load study set, the ramp up, which you just saw. Here's Bollinger Bands. I really don't get into using Bollinger Bands. I've tried them. I don't know, never really found them to be much use for me. Futures, I don't know what this, these are from a proprietary indicator that I got a while ago from another trading room. I don't want to give up the code for it because it's proprietary and I don't want to cross any lines. But basically this is based off the Ichimoku cloud. Go up to studies. Let's put the Ichimoku cloud on here. Just to see, give you an idea what it is. ICH, Ichimoku. And I have traded with Ichimoku before. So the Ichimoku cloud, what these were was basically, it had to cross above the break out of the cloud and be X percentage higher close from the previous close or something. I don't remember exactly what it was. It was a pretty good indicator. It worked pretty well. You see this here would have been an excellent entry. I've traded this. I've played around with it. I've thought about trying it again. But just get rid of the Ichimoku. Okay, so that was load study set. Here's hourly charts. It was just different moving averages for that, really. It was the only difference. Here's Ichimoku again. Same thing. I should probably go through and clean some of these out. Normal, I don't know what normal is. But this is my, there's my, what I call normal. I said I haven't used that. I've probably not a very good description because I don't really know what it is. Patterns. This was I had this one set up to indicate, to try to locate patterns, different candle patterns. But mainly the one I'm using right now, like I said, it's the one called Ramp Up. So I'll put that one back on. But you create a chart that you like, and you come up here and studies, save study set, name it something, probably a little more descriptive than what I use. Name it something, and then you can save it. That way, if you ever expand your charts, change your charts, you don't have to go back and regraph everything. You can just hit the load study set and pick the one that you like, and that's it. So as far as my indicators, these here are support resistance lines. There's actually a chat room I'm in that they plot all these for you. I was plotting my own for a while, and It was time consuming, and mine a lot of times lined up with what they had. They do it for you, so I just copy and put them on my charts. This here is dynamic hiding pivots. I got that from another trader, and actually if you go back and look at my videos, one of my previous videos, I posted the code for that. It's not built into ThinkorSwim. Bring it up here, dynamic hiding pivots. Edit source. Here it is. That's the code. I posted in the comments section of one of my previous videos. So if you go back and look, it was probably one of my second or third videos I did. You can copy and paste it from there, name it whatever you want, but they're pivot points. This here is the open. I have it on all my charts, the daily open. It's the price the stock opened at for the day. I think that's a pretty important one to have up. A lot of times that will offer support or resistance. This here is the VWAP. VWAP usually holds pretty well. And then these here are the 100 and 200 simple moving average lines. I don't use the 20 and 50. A lot of people do. I don't use it anymore because it just seemed like they weren't as consistent. It was kind of like a toss-up. Half the time they worked, half the time they didn't. And I thought, if it's only working 50% of the time, why is it even up here? It just added more clutter to the mess I already have on my screen. And it does look like a mess, but after you use it for a while, you kind of figure out what it is. It's a lot easier to see. This line here was the previous day's high or low, the green one. On this one, $100, which was the low here from Friday, $100.01. So it automatically puts this up. Where'd it go? Right here. This one. That's built into ThinkorSwim. If you come up here, daily high low, it's over here. Just come down. You can type it in here. Daily high low. It's already built in. Daily open's already built in. I have the 100, 200 simple moving average, the pivots that I got from another trader, the daily high low, the daily open. I have the 2050 here, but you'll see I have them off of here. They're not showing. I leave them here just in case I want to check a chart, maybe on the daily chart. They're a little bit more effective on a daily chart, I think. That way I don't have to reload them. I can just open this up and click this box. And you see, click the box, and it'll add it, and it's right here. Edit, come back here, uncheck that, and it gets rid of it. So I have the 2050 in here, but not active. I guess that's the best way to put it. There's the 50, and the 20 actually moved to the bottom now because I was messing with it. VWAP, if you look at the VWAP on ThinkorSwim, it actually has, in fact, let me do a search. ThinkorSwim's VWAP is different. It actually has, it adds extra lines. You see right here, this line here is part of the VWAP study, and this one here is part of the VWAP study, and this one here is part of the VWAP study. I don't need these. It almost does like Bollinger Bands. I don't need these in here, and I don't want them in here. So what I did was I went in and created my own called VWAP Mods, VWA modified. But what I did was I just came in here, and if you put this little pound symbol, a pound symbol is it'll hide that line of code. So if you put a pound symbol in, like when you're writing code, and I'm not a programmer, but I have a little bit of experience in it. But when you write code, you might want to put a note here. You might want to put a note so you know what it does. You'll put the pound symbol and you'll put, hey dummy, I did this because this line will do this. And that's when there's a pound symbol, your computer will skip that line and won't read it. So you just put a pound symbol here. Like I can delete this pound symbol and see what it does. It makes it an actual piece of code. Now it's confused now because there's no close to, actually I think it's something up here. But anyway, you just put the pound symbol in and that makes it not see it. So I'm going to cancel it. I'm not even going to save it. But by doing that, oops, I'm going to get rid of the VWAP I just put in. By doing that, it gets rid of these two upper and lower lines. I don't need them. So that fixes that problem. Now I just have a single VWAP line. I don't have the upper and lower limits. I have the EMA cross cloud, and I have it set for 6 and 16. And what that does, actually I think that's, I don't think that's built in. I don't think that's built into here. I think I imported that from another trader. But all it is you have two EMA lines, two EMA, whatever you want them to be set to. I use 6 and 16. You can use whatever you want. And this may be by default, maybe in ThinkorSwim. No, I think I actually imported this in. But you can really all it is it's your EMAs, your moving averages, and it just shades it in between. So without it, it just puts your it's just going to put your EMAs in. It just all does is shade it. So that's the only thing. The only difference is shaded in. If you don't have this, just put your two EMAs, whatever you want, and you can just watch them. It just won't have the shaded area. Just makes it easier to read. The Hall moving average is built in. That's what this red and green line is. Let me zoom in a little bit. This red and green line, it's pretty accurate. I've never traded off of it, but it might not be a bad thing to try someday. Just see if it works out. I put it on there with the intentions of trying it, but I just never did it. And there's the 20 that I had from earlier. That's edited out so it doesn't read. I don't really use the MACD. You see I have it up here, but I have it out so it's not used. But I usually use a 613/5 when I do look at it. Gap. I have this. I created this myself, so I'll show you the source code for this. Really easy to create. Plot gap down equals the high is less than the low from 1 bar ago. If the high is lower than the low from one candle ago, then it's a gap down. Gap up, the low is greater than the high from 1 bar ago. Very simple. Very simple to write that code. And all that does is right here shows a gap. There's very rarely is there a gap. Actually, that's not there's not even any gaps there. Let me go back to usually there's only gaps. Yeah, right here. You see there's a gap right here. These red ones here are gaps. There's very rarely do you see them during the day. The blue ones here are the crossovers. These blue ones indicate, I guess it wouldn't indicate a 616 crossover. What is that indicating? 616 cross. Moving average exponential 6 crosses is 16. But why is it, why did it set one here when it crossed about here? So I'll have to take a look at that and see why it did that. And there should be one here too then. Maybe I have that one. You know what? I think I actually have that. Yeah, I have that one canceled out, so it doesn't even show. TTM squeeze, I don't have it on. I never really cared for it too much. So this must be gap that's showing. Let me see if they disappear here. Yeah, they did disappear. Okay, so let's put them back on. Let's take a look at them. So those are gaps. The blue one must be a gap down, and the red one a gap up. So this one, the low was 101.53. The high here was 101.53. So technically that wasn't a gap, so I don't know why it set that. It shouldn't have. But generally gaps will create support and resistance. In the pre-market, after hours, it really doesn't count. But that's pretty much what I have on my charts for the day. And as far as my support and resistance levels, what I do, I go out, I start on the daily. Let's remove these. Put this to like an hourly chart so it's easier to remove. I'll probably remove all drawings, but I don't want to get rid of everything by accident. So what I do is I start with a daily. You know, I don't care too much about what support levels are down here because the chances of us getting down there throughout the day is pretty minimal. So I'm only going to look at like from here over. So if you just click and drag, let's say I click and drag from here, it'll just highlight that. It'll zoom in on that one section. So let's go back up. You see we have a previous high here, so I'm going to want to mark that. You come down here and you click on this, and this is your price level. So just double click, and I have it set up. You right click on it, edit properties. I have it set for extension, right extension, left extension on, so it goes the whole way across. Show name, I don't have a name on this. I can name it, but I'm going to have to rename every one of them to know why I put it there, and I don't want to do that every day. You can type your value. Let's say I want to change this to 29. Hit 29 and it moves it. So let's put this back to 39. And they don't have to be exact when you're plotting these. I have the color, this color, because it's just an odd color that I don't really use for anything else. Save as default. Show price on the left. By default, I think it puts it on the right, but I don't want the price over here because that's where all my indicators are shown, my candles are shown, and I tried it and it was just a mess. So I move them over here so they're out of the way. So I have that set to my default now. I have a low right here because of this candle. It was a low on this day. Put one here for high for this day. Pre-market high, which I'm going to do on the 5-minute chart. I'm looking further back when I'm doing hourly. We had some support right around this level here on the hourly. It acted as resistance here and support here. So we'll put one about there. You see it was support here, it was support here, it was resistance here. So it was a pretty good area for it to hold. That's actually the hourly chart. I'm supposed to do the daily chart first. Let's go to the daily. You know, we had a low right here, low this day, so I'll put one there. I'm not going to go any lower than that because that's a pretty big drop, and if it drops that much in a day, I don't know if I'd be interested in touching it anyway. A lot of consolidation right here for about a week and a half. so not a lot. Yeah, we could say hive day here, but it kind of coincides with this, so we could probably lower that down just a hair to kind of activate drawing, pull it down a few cents, maybe 32. Now it kind of works with this one and this one instead of putting two separate ones. We have a gap here, which you see right here, and you will get gaps on the daily chart, but we have a gap here. So normally I would put on a daily chart, I would put a line here. Let me just double click a line. Let me get rid of this line. Let's do that to make it easier to see. I'll double click at the low of this candle and the high of this candle. And let's just pretend those are right at the highs and lows. Gap. And on here, gap. You can put gap up or gap lower, whatever you want to do. Make it different colors. Maybe make it, you can make it a dotted line if you wanted. Let's make this a dotted line with a different color. Let's make it purple. Make this one purple. So you can do something like that. Then you go down to your hourly, which I already did. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time doing these. Then you go down, I go down to my 15-minute chart, and I take a look at that. 15-minute, is there anything that looks like it's a good support resistance it's not already marked? This right here, this area here. So I put one here, which you see kind of coincides with today's. Actually, there was a pivot point right there, so I'm not even going to bother putting that one in. But you know what? Let's put it in because well, you know what? I wouldn't have put it in. We wouldn't have known what this did today, but the pivot point's already there, so I'm just going to leave it, and I wouldn't put an extra one there. We got a high here. Does this really line up with anything else? Yeah, kind of right here. So we could probably get away with putting one right about here, because they're kind of like the bottom of these bodies and the top of these candles here, right here. So let's put one right about here. So that's the 15-minute. Let's go down to the 5-minute. See if there's anything that might be missing that we could, you know, it looks like an important level that we don't have anything at yet. You know, you might want to think about putting one here, just because of this low. That's about it. And then you'd come in here and you'd look at your pre-market. Okay, pre-market, I have a pre-market high right here, so I'm going to put one here. Pre-market low was about here, so I'm going to put one here. And then I'll go back to my 3-minute, which is my regular one, and I don't mark any on the 3-minute chart. So those are my levels I just put in. You see it held this, which was one of the ones I marked, but it was also, I believe that's a pivot point. Yeah. When you hover over one of these pivot points, it highlights all of them. So you see when I hover over this one, it highlights that. So that was a pivot point. You see it held that pivot point pretty well. This one here held that one. Held this one a couple of times. Right here, here. Barely popped above it and hit that pivot, came back down. This one here was a moving average line and one of the resistance levels that I put in. So that's pretty much what I do with my chart in the morning. So you see the indicators I have up. You see what I use for indicators. You can use whatever you want for indicators, but that's how you put them on. Let me take a look at the stochastics. I use the slow stochastics. I like that better. I've tried other ones. Slow stochastics, I use 80 and 20, 14 and 3. And I come down here and I mark to alert these breakouts on both the slow K and slow D. Over here, I just pretty much leave all these default, don't really mess with them. And by putting the indicators, the alerts, breakout alerts, it puts these red arrows in. I don't really use this a lot for my trading, but I do glance at it. Like let's say right here with a bullish engulfing candle, I'll look down here and say, okay, it's not overbought. That might not be too bad. You know, if the stochastic's way up here, I might be a little bit hesitant to get in on one of the candle signals. What I like trading is right here we had would have been Friday's low, $100. We had Friday's low along with a pivot point. So we have two different levels of support that are showing up here. Plus, I also have one that I plotted from where it came from. I couldn't tell you for sure now. So actually, there's three levels. There's somewhere along the line this held resistance or support somewhere. That's why I put a line there. So we have three levels of support here, and we have, it's not quite a hammer candle, but we have a long tail with close to a hammer candle. This would have been an excellent entry. And the reason I know that it's not a hammer candle, see these little arrows? ThinkorSwim lets you mark and highlight different candles, so you don't have to sit and stare at them and try to figure out if it's an actual candle, what you think it is. You come up here to patterns, select patterns. You can do any of these, but these really don't show up on anything but a daily chart from what I've seen. But I do the candlesticks. I do dark cloud cover, engulfing, piercing line, hammer, shooting star, doji, separating lines, and three line strike. Those are the only ones I look for. If you want to look over here and see what the definitions are of them, click on that. Now, when I did a video before, these didn't show up, so you could see my mouse moving, but the box was empty. So we'll see if the box wasn't even there. Hammer doesn't really give much of a definition, but what the actual definition is of a hammer candle, the body has to be at least twice as long as the tail, and it has to be on a downtrend. So let's say this tail came down to here, it would be a hammer candle. If this same candle with a longer tail was up here, it's not a hammer candle. Hammer candle can only be at the bottom. If it was up here, it'd be called a hanging man candle, which is a complete different. Hanging man candle is actually bearish. You can see here, hanging man is the same as a hammer, but it's the top of a trend, and it's a bearish signal. Bearish trend reversal candlestick pattern. So make sure you know your candles. You don't want to assume or you don't want to look at this candle and say, oh, there's a hammer candle. I know hammer candles are bullish candles, and it's up here, and you buy calls. You got to know your candles. This here, this here's a bearish engulfing. This here's a piercing line. You can right click on it to tell you what it is. Piercing line starts, it goes at least the midpoint of the previous candle, and the previous candle has to be bearish. Piercing line and dark cloud cover are the opposites of each other. I don't know if there's a dark cloud cover here. I don't see a dark cloud cover here. They're not real common. Piercing line and dark cloud cover. There's an order of progression. The engulfing candle is the strongest. Then the piercing line / dark cloud cover is second strongest. And then there's other ones, and I don't really look at them because they're not as strong, but let's say, let's take a look at this candle right here. I shouldn't have zoomed in that much. Let's say, just say these two candles here. Let's say this bounced way up. If this candle only comes to here, there's a name for it. I don't know what it is. I don't care to know what it is because it's not that bullish. If it only comes part way up, it's not the higher up it goes, the stronger it is. If it's up here, it's a stronger one. That's going to be bear or bullish engulfing. If it comes to here, it's going to be a piercing line. So it's going to be a little bit strong, a little bit, not quite as strong as the bullish engulfing, but still pretty strong. So that's kind of what I look for. I have them set. You can set them in ThinkorSwim, so you don't have to sit and figure it out or miss it. You can set alerts so that they'll come up automatically. They'll pop up. They'll alert you. You can get a text message from it. Whatever way you want to do it. That's pretty much my charts. I mean, this video is longer than I wanted, but you watch a little bit, watch 10 minutes a day or something, or watch it all at once, whatever. That's pretty much how I set my charts up. I did the same thing on this one. Let me show you something else too here in a minute. But I did the same thing. I came up here, customized grid, and I created 6 of them, and then I went up and I did my studies, load study set, and I put them all the same. I don't use stochastics on these because these are just for like a quick glance. I have these on my other monitor, which you can't see because it'll be off screen, but I pulled it over here for you to see it. I don't have this here is an RSI, average RSI indicator. Instead of having an actual RSI graph, I just have it I have it overlaid on my volume so I can just get a quick glance. These here are just for a quick glance. It's not something I'm going to trade off of. I look at these. Let's say I really like this Apple chart. I'm glancing over and I see this chart up right here on this window, this screen, 6 charts. I say, wow, I really like that Apple. I'll come over to this window, type in Apple, zoom out a little bit so I can see it a little bit better, and now I got that messed up. Type in Apple, and then I look at this, and that's where I look and get closer detail, a little bit more information, and I say, yeah, I really like Apple right now. I want to buy it. I'll click on this, click here, come over to trade. Apple's already in here because I have them linked right here. I like these calls. I'm going to right click, more info, TOS charts. And let me tell you a little secret. A lot of times you have to do that twice. Before you buy, look up here, because I've done this before and I bought the wrong thing because a lot of times the first time you click it, it doesn't change it. You'll come over and it'll be whatever you had last time. So you have to go back and you have to do it again. You right click, do it again, and then the second time it takes. Why? I don't know. Something with ThinkorSwim, or maybe it's just mine. So I come over, I already have all this up. I say, okay, I want one contract. Click my buy. I also have it linked to this one, so this same chart is right here, and I pulled over here on my other screen, and I'll pull my Apple chart up right here, and now I can sit and look at this, and on my other monitor I have my options chain that I just showed you right here, so I can see both, and that's pretty much what I look at. On the options chain, I don't ask me why this moving average is on here. I don't need it. Take it off. I don't care what these are on the options chain. I don't care what the options chart looks like. So that's pretty much it for what I have. I don't really care. I don't pay that much attention to volume on the stocks. These stocks I trade, because they're all high volume. I do look at, though, let's zoom in a little bit right here. I do look at, okay, we had increasing selling volume here, and then we went to buying volume, pretty high buying volume, which is a good indicator. I don't look at what the volume is. I look at the difference between volume candles. This one was a pretty high volume candle, higher than the previous one, and it was right at a pivot point. It didn't follow through though, So um, that's really about all I use volume for. Because like I said, everything I trade, if you're trading off the wall stocks, then yeah, you want to pay attention to volume. But the stocks I trade are all pretty high volume stuff. Apple, Netflix, Spy, Roku, they're all pretty high volume things. So I don't really care what the actual volume is, it's how the volume relates to the previous candle. So, we had a big volume candle right here, and, it went up from there. This just means, this was a green candle, below average volume. You really wouldn't want to jump into calls on this because it wasn't much volume. That just means, yeah, people liked it, but you look at this candle, it's what, three times the size of this one. People said, uh-oh, you got my attention now, I want to get in this. And yeah, the volume shrunk a little bit here, but that's most of the people got in here. Doesn't mean you can't get in. I probably wouldn't get in right here. I'd wait for it to get back a little bit closer to this cloud, maybe here. I probably would have actually got in at this candle. It came back down and touched the cloud, and then we had a green, because at this point it might come back down, but then you have a green candle, and closed above the cloud, and then just opened in the cloud, closed above it. I probably would have entered about here. My stop would probably be a close below, I don't know, probably close below the cloud down here. I'd say this because of a lower low, but that's a pretty tight stop. So I probably would have said a close below this 16 EMA would probably be where I'd stop out of it. I don't really want my stop. I know some guys will tell you their stop's going to be down here, but it depends on your risk tolerance. So, but that's about it. That's it for this video. If there's anything else you want or have questions about, put it in the comments section. I'd be glad to make another video. My plan was to break this up into a couple of smaller ones, but I just kind of got on a roll and kept it going. So watch 10-15 minutes a day of it. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to make another video or answer your questions. Whatever. The beginning of every day, in fact, I'll do it now. Beginning of every day, I take all these old drawings out of here. Or all these old price levels. In fact, I can just do this clear drawing set and it gets rid of all of them. I do that at the beginning of every day and start fresh. I don't trade off of crosses. I know some people say that, I trade off of stochastic crosses. Yeah, it might work. You had a cross right here. It would have worked. I mean, anything in here would have worked on Apple today for this time frame. You had a cross down right here, the slow, I don't know if it's slow K or slow D, which one. You could have entered here. You would have made a little bit here. I don't trade off of these crosses, though. I have them up. I play around with it. But, I'll be honest, the first couple, maybe first 2 years I traded, I didn't pay as much attention to the candles. I paid attention to these indicators, moving averages, and indicators down here. That's what I focused on, and I tried to trade off of crosses. The problem was, let's go over here. This isn't a great example, but had a moving average cross here. Problem is the move's almost, the move could be done by here. It might have come up here, crossed, I get in, and all of a sudden it dies out because it already, most of the buyers came in down here. So I started getting more education and learning candlesticks and candle patterns a lot more. You get to see them. All of your indicators are trailing indicators. They're all lagging indicators. They all lag behind. So you're always going to be behind the curve when it comes to trading if you're using indicators. Use candlesticks. We had a bullish engulfing candle right here. Bullish engulfing, it popped up above here. I probably would have entered this one about right here. That probably would have been my entry. And look at that. Now it doesn't always do that. Let's take a look at Roku. Roku, and we came down close to the support line. Bullish engulfing candle here. This one, we had a lot of congestion right here. I might not have entered this one until we got to maybe this candle. This probably would have been about where I would have entered. In fact, I might have even waited because that's a pretty big run, and I would have expected it to come back a little here. I probably would have entered maybe closer to here. I might not have even entered this at all, just because it had such a big run so quick. It's hard to trade those. I mean, if you didn't have all this congestion here, it's not as hard to trade. But you don't want to enter here with 4 different lines of resistance here. Actually 5 lines of resistance here. It makes it really hard. So I probably wouldn't have entered it at all, but this would have been a beautiful entry here, especially if this was a hammer candle. That would have been a really beautiful entry, but I like there's 3 lines of support, 4 lines of support or something here. Would have been really nice. But that's pretty much it, what I look for. Like I said, any questions, absolutely ask. I'd be glad to either answer them in the comments section below, or I will make another video, whichever you want. I'm going to get rid of this last one. This is the one I just created to show you. I'm going to get rid of it. So I still have my 4 that I mainly trade off of. I have this one. This last one is this one that I trade off of. Should actually do my entries and exits for my options. This one here is this chart. This one here is my 6-panel chart that I showed you, my 6-panel screen. And this one here is my main ThinkorSwim page. I really don't use this at all, this main page, except for this. The trade tab is really the only thing I use in this. As far as charts go, I don't really use these. I detached windows and I use these instead, just because they're a little bit, I won't say a little bit more customizable, but I wanted to show you something else here. You see, when I did this, I did customize grid. This is called the flexible grid. If you do it from here, I don't know why. Don't ask me why they did it this way. That'd be a question TD Ameritrade or ThinkorSwim, Tom Sosnoff. Somebody would have to answer you. And for those of you that don't know, Tom Sosnoff is one of the creators of ThinkorSwim. He has a lot of good stuff out there on YouTube, good videos. But if you wanted to add extra windows in here, you could do it a little bit differently. You have to do it this way. Why? I have no idea. But you can come up and say you want to have a 2 by 2 grid. Click that, and it's not doing it. No, it did it. Okay. So I got a 3 by 2 grid. Why? I don't know. I couldn't tell you why this one's different than others. The other problem is, I mean, you can detach this one and do it the same way. I just detached it, and now let's say I want to change it to 2 by 2 or 4 by 3. However you want to do it. But I'm just letting you know that for some reason, if you do it from this charts tab, it works differently than the flexible grid tab, and I have no idea why. But you'll see if you try to do it from here, you'll look and say, hey, there's no customized grid. What do I do? Because if you're new to it, not paying attention, and you come over here and you say, okay, detach grid, because I want to create an extra window, and I want to have a 6x2, and you come up and you say, wait a minute, I don't have a customizable grid, I can't do it. Well, you got to do it from here then. Said no idea why. Couldn't tell you why they do it that way, but that's how it is. So again, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and end this video. Any questions, any comments, you want to see something else, anything, let me know. You're interested in seeing what rooms, what chat rooms I'm a member of, what trading rooms I'm a member of, I'll share that with you. Right now at this time, I'm a member of the Traders Council chat room and also Ramp Up Trading chat room. They're both good. They focus on different things. Traders Council, Jeff Williams focuses on penny stocks and does a very excellent job at it. One of the best penny stock traders I've ever seen. Davis Martin runs the options side of things. There's excellent options moderators in there. They're trading spreads, they're trading iron condors, they're trading all kinds of stuff, and they're killing it in there. I haven't been in there as much lately. I don't trade, my account's not set up to trade iron condors or any kind of spreads. I'm set up to trade simple straight calls and puts, and my trading style really fits the guys from Ramp Up Trading. They traded very similarly to what I trade, how I trade, and nothing bad about either one. It's just I came into this room and it's a lot of the same style trades I take, same thing. One thing that I do differently is I get out of stocks a lot quicker than they do, and I'm working on that. They'll hold a stock. I've seen them several times. I've been in there for about 2 months, and I've seen, I'd say, 10 to 1500% runners trades they've been in, and they've actually held them for the 100%, 200% sometimes. Where me, 10-15%, I'm out. The Tesla trade today, the Netflix trade. Netflix trade today, I got out at, I know I said I was going to do this video, I get carried away. Netflix, I actually got out, I think right at the end of this candle, at $1, I don't have it up now. I got out at $1.90 or $1.89, and it went to like $3.06 or something. I know Rock from Ramp Up Trading is the one that alerted it. I know he stayed in long. He sold some of his contracts at about the same time I sold mine. I sold mine because I was getting to the $360 level. That's the reason I sold mine. Wasn't because of resistance levels. It was that 360 number. I know he sold some about the same time as I did, but I know he held some longer. I don't know how long he held it for, but I think it was up around here when he sold. I actually think it was right after this red candle. I think he sold. So I don't think he held it all the way to the top. I'm not sure. But yeah, those are the rooms the chat rooms I'm in. I've been in several others, but as of right now, that's the only two I belong to. I'd like to give credit where credit's due. My 2 trades today, actually 3, I didn't alert them. I didn't find them. I followed Rock from Ramp Up Trading on those 2. I have a full-time day job, so I can't sit and watch charts all day. So it really just works out for me that I can just sit and wait for an alert from somebody. And I don't have to. I don't have to sit and watch a screen all day. I can pick out these trades. Not as good as they can, but I can pick out these trades like this here. This would have been a good entry. I would have seen this. I would have said that'd be a good put entry. It closed below a lot of these moving average and support levels. Closed below the cloud, and it's a bearish engulfing candle. I probably would have. I may have bought right here, but I may have waited till it came back up and tested this. Probably would have entered actually about here. I probably would have sold a portion of it down about here, and the rest of it I probably would have put a stop on a close above this EMA, this 16 EMA. And depending on how many contracts I had, if I had more, I probably would have sold some here and let the rest ride. If I only had one contract left, I don't know. It would depend. If I had to walk away from my desk, I'd probably put a close above this 16 EMA, or if I was happy with how much I made, I would have just sold it and gone out and walked away. So, but anyway, like I said, any questions, anything, feel free. More than happy. I love helping people. If you want to check me out on Twitter, my handle's @OptionizerSS. I'll put it in the description. It's @OptionizerSS. I usually in there I'll put a quick note about what I did. Like today I put 2 trades. Made money on 2 different trades. Here's my video if you want to check it out. Sometimes I don't make a video because I'm just too busy or something, so I'll put in there, hey, made 2 trades. Sometimes I'll put screenshots of my account on there, my entries and exits, so you can see it. But I don't hide anything. I have losers. Last week I actually was negative for the week. I made money 3 out of 4 days because Monday was closed. Problem was I had I don't know, 6 winners, maybe 5, 6 winners and 1 loser. Problem is that 1 loser was way bigger than my winners were, and that I ended up like minus 20 for the week. So lesson learned there. I screwed up today. I accidentally bought a call on Netflix at the end of the day, and I think I bought it right around here by accident. Didn't know I bought it until about here. I actually think I was over here when I noticed it somewhere, and I went, oh crap, and I watched it, and when it broke down below this, I said, okay, I'm out. But I was still green for the day, but took a lot of my winnings away. So alright, thanks for watching. Sorry it was so long, but like I said, one of my Twitter followers requested a video for this, so talk to you later, and thanks. Bye.